guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and it's been so long since we put out an episode of The Grind. And what reminded me to do it was I was cleaning out my drop box, and my drop box is a vast wasteland. I'm all the way back to mid-summer last year. I was going through it last night and then looking at all the stuff, and it dawned on me. I've been throwing it up on Instagram and Facebook, but I really haven't put it up here on YouTube. So I'm going to bring it all together, and welcome to The Grind number 48. It's been several years since we did a variety show. If you guys like this kind of stuff, comment below, and we'll keep, it gives me the motivation to keep making variety shows because they're a lot of work, a lot of editing. All right, so first of all, let's go visit my back fence. I had a bad windstorm, and it destroyed my rear chain link fence. So let's go visit my back fence and gate. Okay, so I've been working on the back gate, and this is my rear kind of fence area. And my old fence got damaged by the wind. That's a 4-foot chain link, but the wind blew so hard out of the canyon, it took that whole fence and blew it over, and all these poles are kinked right at the ground level. So I uprighted it and kind of just held it vertical until I can finish my new fence. And this has got a concrete kind of a threshold, and that protects the pipe going underground where I drive through. There's a photo eye in that box right there, and all my conduits pass underneath and come over to this box. And I've stubbed up a few things. Here you can see I stubbed up some water. Then I got a 1-inch pipe there, and I'll talk about that later. But that pipe there's got a specific use. It put me an outlet there just for working on the fence up here. And then these columns are made out of a 4x4 square tube, 3/16 wall. Did a little fabrication there. And then I'm going to try to get back far enough where you can see the lights I put in. Those are LEDs with like an Edison bulb, kind of an old time Edison thing. And those are hooked up to that photo eye. And we're the same over here. So same thing. So that part of the fence is done, and my gate threshold and my gate posts are finished. And that's a nice heavy column, and the footings in there are substantial. You know, they're poured monolithic with the threshold and the footing that goes down below. Those footings go about 3.5 feet down. And then we did finish. We set the rest of the poles, and in total, the footings. I think there's 10 poles here. This took 7 yards of concrete. And I'll show some pictures of some of the steel work. So these are all 3/16 wall 4x4 square tube again. And then I just came back and welded some little finials on the top just to add some style. And this top rail here is a 2x4 3/16. And it's a very sturdy fence. And I'm going to tell you why it's so sturdy. You know, it's not just because of the wind or whatever. I'm going to put some very thin panels, kind of a screen panel in between each one. Let some vines grow up it very neatly. Probably star jasmine or something. But the reason we're doing this is we're going to be hanging solar panels off of this side at the correct angle for my latitude or whatever. But I do have a solar fence planned. After I've grown material out here, we're going to hang a solar panel, and then this 1-inch pipe is what backfeeds down to the inverter down in the shop. So that's the reason for the 1-inch pipe, and that's the reason the fence is so sturdy, because it's going to end up being a solar fence. And after this is complete, then this old ratty fence can come out. And this is just some potato vine that I grow up this fence, but I'm never going to grow that again. It's too out of control. I want a nice tight climbing vine I'm kind of partial to jasmine. It smells good in the spring too. Okay, so new fence with lighting. Can't wait to get a gate on it. Okay, so that's the early stages of my my new back fence. After that's in, I can demolish that old chain link and get it out of there and get that potato vine out of there. That stuff is really unruly. Let's take a look at a few stills of some of the posts and the lamps and things like that, and what it took to get all that fab together. Okay, and we're back from the fence, so that's been going on around here. Next thing is, I sold my old blue truck. Some of you guys may remember I've got a V10 8-liter gas Dodge dually. So the old blue mule, I'm original owner. It was finally time to say goodbye. I sold my blue dually. Had over 300,000 miles on my V10, and she used to sit right there. So my blue dually is now gone. And that thing would pass anything but a gas station. But it had over 330,000 miles on it. Still ran just fine. Original motor. The Cummins has been a good truck. It's 17 miles per gallon, so it does very well in comparison to the gas V10. And my little runaround truck, just a little half ton with a 360. And that's economical and easy to maneuver. And the air conditioning works really good in that. So I'm pretty happy with that truck. Bye-bye. Okay, so sad to see it go. It was bittersweet seeing it go, but it needed to go. Just the maintenance, the insurance, the registration, and just having it around and never driving it, it wasn't fair. So had to get rid of it. So blue truck gone. Next up, we did some fab for Warner Brothers. This is way last year. They had a special corrugated roof with a profile, and we had to create a roof flashing. We had to get a 24-inch round exhaust pipe through a corrugated flashing. So how do you get a round pipe through a corrugated roof? This is how you do it. Okay, so that was made out of, they call it galvalume. It's an aluminized material. Welds really nice. It's not stinky and hazardous like regular zinc galvanized, you know, when you weld it. So it's a lot easier to work with, and it is weather resistant. You don't have to paint it, so it does hold up reasonably well out in the weather. So we made it in a roof flashing. We also had to make them a wall louver. They had to get air back into a building, so we had to build them a wall louver that would go in a corrugated wall. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so that was a portion of my time in the custom work we did out at Warner Brothers Studios. And on the way home one day, we spotted this. Okay, now a lot of you guys from the LA area from the 70s are going to remember the Mighty Met or KMET. But the whole deal with the KMET is all the cool kids put the sticker on upside down. Don't ask me why. But that brought back some pretty serious memories of my time during the 70s. So pretty cool to see the Mighty Met on a car out there. That's a vintage sticker and it's probably got some value, but he wanted it on his car worse than he wanted to sell it. All right, next up, I got a few emails. You guys have heard me talk about RTOs, or refractory thermal oxidizers. These are giant afterburners that they put in downstream of a spray booth to burn up all the VOCs and everything going out. And they say, well, they don't sound like they're that much. Well, let's go take a look at my truck parked next to an RTO, and this isn't that big of one. So let's go take a look at this. Okay, so that RTO is pretty big. That has got a refractory element inside of it, kind of like a honeycomb, very similar to a catalytic converter on a car. It fires an 8 million, I said that right, it fires an 8 million BTU burner into a refractory element, and then the air passes through this honeycomb refractory and destroys all the VOCs on the way out. And then it has to have a series of aftercoolers because we can't discharge 800-degree air into the atmosphere. So it's quite extensive, and reducing your pollutants is very expensive, but it can be done. All right, next up, a tool that I spotted, and I wasn't even looking for it. I was on eBay, and I was looking for a particular bearing cartridge or a bearing housing. And this was for a cartridge type bearing for a fan. On a vintage fan that you can't get anymore. So I was kind of browsing around looking at the different bearing cartridges, and I found this listed as a bearing cartridge. Well, yes, folks, that is a Eagle Rock dead length collet closer, air powered collet closer, and mislabeled on eBay. Buy it now, $12. Costs more to ship it, but it was listed as a bearing housing. In their defense, it does look like a bearing housing, but anyways, if you look those up on the internet, holy smokes, those are expensive, and I never would have paid full price for one of those. But 5C collet closer, very glad to get it. I use it over on the drill press all the time, and we have a bushing job that comes through here. So very happy to get that, and you know, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a wonderful unit, and it's hooked up to a Temco air foot pedal that I had to buy, but it's a good unit. Okay, next up, I did some horse trading with Andrew Padaka, and I traded a Troik 8-inch rotary table with an XY attachment on the top for a more grinding spinner attachment for the surface grinder. So this allows me to, it's got a protractor base. So let's go take a look at the Moore grinder. Okay, so this is a Moore OD grinding attachment for the surface grinder. It's got a carbide center here in the back, spring loaded. It's got a protractor base. It's actually pretty nice. I just got that freed up. It's actually got pins here. You can drop a dowel in here and a dowel in here. They're exactly 10 inches apart. So you could actually set it up on the surface plate and use those dowels as a sign bar to set it really accurately. It's got an index wheel in the back. This is a drawbar. Takes a Morse tip or two, and they've got a hard center in there now. But it's got a little wheel here so you can spin the gearbox over. It's got a tiny little, I'm not going to call it tiny, sewing machine motor. 3-speed belt drive. And I just got it back together after fixing it all up. And it actually runs really good. So let's fire it up. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, there's a lever back here that indexes into these pins if you need to index. There's an index ring around the back. So that little spin fixture is just an awesome little tool. After I got it freed up, I got the protractor base released and cleaned, and I polished it all with double-aught steel wool, got all the rust out of there. There was coolant and stuff down in the protractor in that little cradle, and I got that all cleaned out, working good. Look for videos on that, using that here coming up. Next up is just a tip, and a lot of you guys probably already know this, but if you've got a geometric head, this is how I set them up. People kind of struggle on how to get them in and get them set up. So there's a picture of my geo head. You just drop them into a boring bar holder, and I keep them in a boring bar holder with my center height set on the little knurled wheel, and keep your center height set, and then it's pretty easy to set up after that. And it's a dedicated holder. You can have that holder, you can get some that are fairly cheap, and keep it in the holder. Keep that knob set so you can drop it in the in your tool post holder and go to work right away, and it's already on center and very little setup required. But the geo head is just a wonderful thing, and using a boring bar holder is the way to go. Okay, next up, there's a few pictures, a few of my favorite pictures from the bash, and I'm going to comment a little bit on each one of them. First of all was a horn that off of Southern Pacific Railroad. Some of you guys that attended the bash know how loud that thing was, but that was kind of my favorite toy for a little while. So here's me doing a test firing of the horn, and Justin Moreau trying to not get tinnitus. Okay, and that horn was courtesy of Mr. Michael Muha. Here's a picture of me and him with the giant checks from Char's Tool. Okay, and then our motto this year was "When hell freezes over," and we came really close. Here's a little video clip of us coming close. All right, that little snow flurry was about 3 weeks too early for the bash, but it would have been epic if we would have had snow that day. I tried. Sorry, guys. All right. Next up was just a still shot of Ray Goff getting me some coffee, and I want you to notice which cup he gave me. Well, thank you, Ray. All right, moving on. Here's a shot of me and Ray and Mr. Pete in front of the banner. It was good to see Mr. Pete make the trip, and I enjoyed his visit very much. Okay, and here's the look you get when you super glue your hand to the devil's pitchfork. And here's some random shots that I liked. This is Craig and Ray. Always good to see them. And then here's Chris, Ray, and Dale up at the MC station. Okay, and here's a shot of the BFW, and we don't get to see this thing very often. Some of you remember, a few years back, I took one of the viewers sent in the wrench, which was in rough shape. It was actually a weldment. It was a welded wrench, and I polished it up and polished all the welds and filled all the voids and got it powder coated. And then all the YouTubers started signing it. So the BFW has become kind of an icon here, and we get to see it every year. It always comes back every year. Here's another great shot of Keith Finner and the winner of the Four Jaw Smackdown. That cash prize was pretty good and good shot. And no bash will be complete without a visit from Mr. Brad Jacob. So here's me and him. And with the bash at a close, it's time to put up another bottle. Some of you may get it. I don't know whether you can see it in this video, but the bottles stay right up on top of my whiteboard up there, and they are double stick taped to the wall. So that's 3 years worth of Arizona iced tea bottles. The bottles get a persona all of their own. Okay, next up. I got a text from Mr. Aaron Durda, and he said, hey, there's a saw you need to look at on Craigslist. So I looked at it, thought the price was good, contacted the seller, and just hauled ass down there as quick as I could to pick this thing up. Smoking price, and it was a rolling saw, so let's go take a look at it. All right, so fully functional, three-phase rolling saw. It doesn't have the modifications that Robin Renzetti has to his with the rear fence and the Heidelman vise, but that's coming, But that saw was complete and functional in every way. And, it was badly misaligned. The rollers and everything, all they cut with it was wood. And they had a lot of blade wander and it chewed through the table pretty good, but we're going to make some repairs on the table, build a rear fence for it, get a Heidelman on there. I love the way Robin's rolling saw is set up. So we're gonna try to duplicate that, and duplication is the highest form of flattery, I think. So thank you, Robin, for all the insight, and thank you, Aaron, for the great lead on the rolling saw. Next up, I was doing a turnaround up to Sacramento, way up in Northern California, and that's 6-7 hours up, 6-7 hours back, plus my visit time with the customer. It made for a long day. So on the way home, I called Ray Cornelia, and I said, hey, you're kind of halfway in the middle of the state. I was going to drop by. I haven't seen your new shop yet. So we swung by and talked to Ray for a little while. So good time. Ray did his very first live feed on his channel, right off his cell phone. We had a decent Wi-Fi connection out there, so we did a live feed on his channel. You saw how easy it was, and look for more of those on his channel in the months to come. All right. Next up is just a general public service announcement for all you electricians and sparkies out there. I was working on a Cutler hammer panel, and the customer said, "Hey, I need you to throw in a breaker and run a circuit for me." So I opened up the panel. He had the breaker space, he had the knockout blanks in there, and there was a breaker that was already installed, and I saw some signs of arcing, and I brought it to his attention. We had to shut down panel and get in there and make a repair. But let's take a look at the bussing inside of this panel and what you get for cross-threading bolt-in breakers. Okay, he was just waiting for a fire or a meltdown or a plant shutdown, or any number of bad things can happen in that situation. Those are 1032 screws, very fine thread, very easy to cross thread. The bussing is very thick and it's got a nice hefty thread, but if they're cross threaded, you damage the threads, and it may feel tight, but you're not making a good electrical connection. So we had to get in there, clean it, rethread it, and do all this stuff, and you can't do that hot. You got to bring it down. So respect the threads and stop your equipment from breaking down. Next up was leather punch dies. James Harrell, the guy that does my graphics, he says his sister makes leather goods, and he said, "Hey, I need a very specific size. It's very repetitive. It's like a little miniature belt or giant watch band, whatever." So I started experimenting with leather punch dies. Never done it before. Okay, so those are basically bandsaw blades, which are sheared down and then sharpened, and we just ran a slitting saw through the base block, or whatever you want to call it, and they made drill and tapped holes where we can thread in some little button hole punches, and it works well on rubber. I'm testing it on neoprene rubber, but it has to go through 2mm leather. And after I was done with all the bandsaw experiments, come to find out, they make pre-made, they call them steel ruler dies. I didn't know what to search for on Google, but steel ruler dies, you can get them at any thickness, any height you want, pre-sharpened and malleable enough where we can bend it around some of those corners and make our dies. And the biggest problem I had is sharpening. After I dropped those bandsaw blades in, I had to sharpen them in place because they were tack welded in with TIG weld. So that's coming up. I'm going to be redoing those. I wasn't happy with those results completely, so I'm redoing those with steel rule dies. Next up, we've got my life here in the shop, and my shop time is pretty limited. It's all about the ovens. The ovens have just buried me. I'm in production on some. We've got a few changes to these ovens. Let's go over to the bench and see what small changes we're making on this batch alone. We've made a couple of improvements, and 2 improvements and 1 change. So let's go take a look at it. Okay, so we're doing control boxes today. This is on all the standing orders. These are standard units here. These are just single ovens. This one here is a 240 volt unit. You see the fan's different on that one. That's a 240 volt fan. So that's the only difference with that one. I've got out of one of the singles where we are offering 240 volt. These are duplexes here. I got 6 duplexes on this go around, and you can tell the difference. The duplexes get these holes cut. These are just air cooling holes. That's all they are. Then they get another hole here for the wire pass through. A plastic bushing goes in there, and that basically converts one of these standard boxes into a duplex. it leaves me room to, this is where the cooling duct gets added, where you see the laser film cutaway there. There's a cooling duct that goes down to the lower oven. So all 6 of those are duplexes. These are the duplex nameplates. They're already serialized. And all your duplexes are going to come with a D suffix on your serial number. And these are basically just the standard plate. All we do is add a little piece. I just tack weld a little piece of sheet metal in between, and then sand it with a flap disc on the other side, nice and flat. And then your nameplate will lay down flat in there. And you've got room to drop in 2 controllers into there. And then those are all standards there. Those are for the single ovens on this order. But that's how you convert basically a duplex, a standard oven into a duplex. What's new on this batch? Well, first of all, we're getting away from the rubber switches. We did the rubber little condoms that were on the switches, and I've had some feedback from some people where they splashed hot oil on it, or they dripped molten metal on it or something, but it actually melted the rubber and made the switch inoperable, and they had to remove the condom. So I've gotten away from the rubber switches. You know, I was worried about oil getting down in the switch, but if it damages the rubber anyways, what's the difference, you know? So the rubber was an experiment, and it didn't work out. So if those rubber condoms give you any trouble, just take a razor knife around them and remove the rubber cover, and you'll have this, what you'll see underneath. It's just a standard switch underneath that rubber cover. Okay, so what else is new this time around? We got power cords in. Still a number 12 cord. Still has the proper 20 amp type plug on it. One vertical, one horizontal. So that's a molded plug. But what we did this time, we got 5 footers. Look at that big old long thing. Okay, we got rid of the 3 footers. I had some complaints. Hey man, this thing won't reach the outlets. And I started thinking about it, and I don't want you guys using extension cords with your ovens. So I went ahead and put a 5-foot power cord on them. So that's new for this go around. So the only thing new so far is switches, power cords, and when the SSRs come in, I'm going to show you a new type of SSR we're using. Okay, so longer extension cords and back to standard type switching on those, and then the new SSRs, which is a 2-channel or 2-pole SSR. I'm pretty excited about those, mainly for the space savings. All right, so look forward to those. You know, those are coming out here pretty quick. Those are going to get delivered in September next month. All right, next up is the DIY kits. I did put together a little bit of video for mechanical assembly of your oven and what to look out for, and how to do your fitting and your widths and your hems and how to deal with it. So let's go take a look at the DIY house. Okay, so I made myself a little fixture for fitting up and doing things on it. This shell has already been tacked. So I got a rivet here, I got a rivet in the back center, and then bottom here. You know, and I got that on both sides. So this gives me a place to clamp down. It clamps down the 2 lower plates and pins them down to a 1-inch plate that's been milled flat. You know, and so I got toggle clamps, and these 2 bars slide through the little feet channels there all the way through. So that kind of pins it down. And see, now you can, after you're tacked, you can remove your clamps. And this does 2 things. It speeds up the process, but it also keeps me from damaging the oven. You know, before I was rolling them around on a bench, and the odds of doing some damage to it while you're chasing this oven around on the bench are pretty good. So what we did here is you leave it clamped down, get it tacked in where it's where nothing's going to move, and see, we still need to get these sides on here, so you got to go and finish all the rivet holes and everything. But I put the whole thing on a Lazy Susan, so I can come on this side, drill all these, give it a spin, drill all these, and then it's complete. And I haven't moved it around on the bench, or, you know, rolled it around on a bench or anything. You know, I've rolled these things over on like a pop rivet's laying on the bench, and I roll it over on a rivet and then work on it, and then I've got a big gouge on the side. So this eliminates the possibility of any damage, and it also speeds up the process. Whenever you got any kind of repetitive motion that you do, anytime you can cut a little bit of time and make things easier on you, you're just that much farther ahead. It's made it so much easier to assemble these things. All right, so that's new for this batch, something you guys probably are never even going to realize what I'm doing, but just thought I'd show you that and maybe get your creative mind going on, what you can do to speed up your processes. Okay, so that'll help all you DIY guys get your oven shells fitted into the right width where your doors match and stuff like that. So I appreciate everyone that bought a DIY kit, and I'm going to try to help you out as much as I can in assembling them. These are your projects. You can build it any way you want. You can make a beer fridge out of it if you want. It doesn't really matter to me how you build it. You can build low temp, high temp, control it any way you want. It's your project. Make it your own. But if you want to do everything my way, my cheat sheet will guide you along the way and help you build it the way I build it. All right. I appreciate everybody watching. This is the grind number 48. And you know what, guys? We're back. We're going to start doing the grind again. Leave a comment below if you like these variety shows. And we'll see you on the next one.
Welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So what we're talking about today is okay. And then okay. Thanks for watching.